Hey guys, it's Siobhan with ToKittyandBeyond. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, what's up? My name's Siobhan. I'm an intuitive tarot therapist, a spiritual counselor, a Reiki master practitioner, and an Akashic Records soul realignment reader. I know that's a lot of stuff. So today we're just going to be talking about the energy of the day. It's been a while since I've done any energy updates, but today is the beginning of Mercury retrograde. So I figured this would be a good time to pick back up. And I'll also be doing a tarot reading. We're going to be talking a little bit about what Mercury retrograde holds in store for us this time of the year. So this is the last Mercury retrograde of the season. There's usually 4 within a year. This is the last one of 2020, thank God, because this has been a trying year, to say the least. And Mercury retrograde, although it does have some negative connotations, it's not necessarily all bad. You know, we do have to slow down. We do have to rework things. We do have to revisit some old stuff and redo some things and go over things that we don't necessarily want to deal with, but that's always for a reason. Everything has a purpose and a place and a time, and when the planets are doing a backward dance, it's because we are in need of a little bit of revision. So some of the negative connotations that Mercury has is disruption, right? So it disrupts communication, it disrupts or delays travel, as well as technology. So glitches galore. Just this morning, I had a spiritual counseling session with a client and we were using Zoom and it didn't work. So we had to revert back to my original platform that I use for sessions, which is Skype. Trusty old Skype, it worked, but there was still some disconnections and things like that throughout. Not surprised, that's just Mercury retrograde for you. So we just kind of all have to roll with the punches. We just kind of got to go with what the energy is at the moment. And right now, although I'm not an astrologer, so despite the fact that we're talking about planets and we're talking about energies, I'm not an astrologer. But this energy is something that I do pay attention to, and I do keep an eye on to see what's going on and how that's influencing. And we also have Mars retrograde right now, which is actually the predominant energy. So even though Mercury is retrograding in Scorpio, we're actually feeling more of that Mars retrograde, which is still very delayed, very restricted. We're not necessarily feeling a lot of motivation or energy to move forward action-wise, which is totally fine. This is a time to not initiate new things. This is not a time to start new business projects unless they've already been kind of in the works up until this point. This is not a brand new time. We don't want to be doing brand new things. We can start healthy new things based on a review of old things. That's fine, but we don't want to impulsively just go out there and do something really big for the first time because there may be unforeseen implications down the line. So not anything to be afraid of, and I don't want to put any negative vibes out there about Mercury retrograde or Mars retrograde or any retrograde for that matter, or any astrological alignment or any transition state that we're going through with our collective ascension. It's all for a reason. It's all there to help us evolve, to help us grow, to help us heal, and to help us bring more awareness to who we are, what we need, and where we're going, what we want to create. So it's all really a blessing, and it's how we look at it that shapes how we transition through it and maneuver with that energy. So for Mercury retrograde this time around, I would say just lay low. We're gonna see what the cards have to say. We're gonna see what guidance wants to come through specifically for each of us, and we just take what resonates with us for that. But for the most part, I get the feeling intuitively that this is going to be a Mercury retrograde season where we just need to pull it back a little bit and take it easy, be patient, maybe stay home more. That's probably sort of something that's already happening because of the current global circumstances. You know what I'm talking about. So we'll just play it by ear and see how things go. As for Mars, this is kicking up some tempers, and Mars has been retrograde for a while now. We're kind of right at the peak of it. I believe it ends in December, correct me if I'm wrong. The Mercury retrograde ends November 3rd though. So Mercury is shorter, which is great. We have this for a little short couple of weeks and then we're smooth sailing again, hopefully. So it is what it is. I wish you all the blessings, and let's go ahead and get into the reading. Stick around for more. Bye guys. All right, hey guys, welcome to the reading. So even in between that first clip and this clip, there's been some technical difficulties. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for my power and my Wi-Fi to come back on, let's go ahead with this reading. Since I don't have the spread that I was going to use, we're just going to do a freestyle and see what energy comes up. It looks like we have some work to do. So with the Six of Pentacles here, this is give and receive. So it's finding balance in where you're putting your money, where you're investing your abundance, where you're putting your focus. This can also be receiving help or support from others if you're on this end of the scenario. It's kind of a rich man, poor man kind of vibe. So some of you may be feeling really like you're lacking something, or there's an imbalance, or there's not enough. And some of you may be feeling like you have more than enough and you're ready to give back. So it really just depends on which side of that spectrum that you fall on. It's really the same energy, just in two different polarities. And we can, all of us, always find balance within that. The Hanged Man here can symbolize, especially in reverse, that we're feeling really stuck. You know, the Hanged Man is hanging upside down for a reason. He's put himself in that position to be able to find the enlightenment that he's seeking, to get the clarity. And sometimes to do that, you do have to pause. You do have to be still and see things from a new perspective, in this case being upside down. But it's reversed, which usually indicates that there's even more of that energy. So there's a stuckness, there's a stagnancy, there may be a feeling of imbalance as well, since we've got two scales sandwiching the Hanged Man. So there's two depictions of those scales of justice, those scales of balance. Things are being brought back into balance, but by doing so, we're quite literally out of balance at the moment, or it can feel like we're out of balance, or like things around us are out of balance. Things are just not as smooth or as easy as they can be at other times. The Justice card is speaking on that, so this may be about fairness, balance, decisions, choices, judgments of some kind, something like that. But overall, I really feel like this is to do with balancing some kind of give and receive, and it's very karmic, so it's cause and effect, right? And karma is not a judgment, karma is not retribution of any kind. Karma is just the result of our actions, and as soon as we change our awareness about those actions and we change those actions into new ones, we will stop getting those results or start getting other results. And I think that's why this Eight of Pentacles is here. It's helping us to really just focus on what we need to do right now. Keep your head down, just focus, keep doing the same thing if it's working for you, and if it's not, then try to learn a new skill that will help you to try something new that might work better, especially around an issue that has been around for a while and something that you've been trying to work on but haven't necessarily seen the results that you were hoping for. With the Two of Swords here, it's very reminiscent of that Justice card. So there's a hefty amount of energy here concerning balance. So balancing, balancing, balancing. We've got three cards that are all about that. So this is very much the subconscious mind as well. Things need to be balanced emotionally with that Knight of Cups in regard to this as well. And with the swords here, it is about the mind and it's about how we see things. And usually with the Justice card, or the depiction of justice often seen in statues and things like that, she's blindfolded. In this case, in the tarot and the Rider-Waite, she's not, but the Two of Swords is. So that's another indication of its connection to justice, not to mention the number 2, which 11, 1 and 1 makes 2, and 2 as well. So it's two people. Mercury is retrograding in Scorpio, but it's finishing its retrograde in Libra. And as I recall, we are in Libra season right now. So this is a lot of balance. It's a lot to do with relationships with other people, how we're giving and receiving, how we're sharing, how we're acquiring things that we need for ourselves, and then being able to share that with others or receive that from others if they have more than enough. The moon here is an indication of the subconscious mind, and it's also an illusion of some kind, or it can cast shadow or doubt onto things that you might have at one time perceived to be true, but now it's becoming warped and you don't know if the truth is the truth. So what do you do if you don't know what's true and what's not? That's a big issue right now in media. That's a big issue in all realms, right? We need to figure out what is true, and that really does ask us to focus subjectively on what we're feeling, because what we're feeling in each given moment is our truth. Whether or not objectively and externally it's true, if we're feeling something in relation to it, then it holds some level of truth at that base core, because with the emotion there, it's important that we find what that emotion is in regard to. So if we're having an emotional reaction or a trigger to a situation or a relationship or an environment, that's true. Whatever is going on around us doesn't matter. What we're experiencing is true, and we need to figure out why. We need to figure out what is causing this emotional reaction, and that's what that Five of Wands is here about. It's conflict, many different people with many different needs or ideas kind of battling against each other. There may be friction, miscommunication, things just don't flow easily or smoothly, and it's kind of the opposite of teamwork. It's everybody kind of working for themselves, and as a result, nothing is accomplished. So there may be an opportunity here to look at things in a different way, to find balance, to take a pause, step back, work on our own stuff, and then in that work that we're doing, identify what emotions are coming up as messengers, what their messages are, and how we can use that to better maneuver when it comes to our relationships with other people. And if we've done all of that work, and if we're very much aware of the motivating factors for the emotions that we're experiencing, and people are still choosing to exist in an emotional state where they're projecting, that is when we want to leave that situation. So that Six of Swords here is, it's done. It's done with the drama, it's done with the turmoil and the emotional angst and all of the chaos, and it's saying, I'm just, it's not necessarily giving up, it's just saying I can't do this anymore, and I'm gonna go to an area which is more conducive to my health emotionally and mentally, and where I can feel safe and therefore be able to grow. So let's get some oracle cards. I've got the Unicorn Oracle. These cards that come out, the messages may or may not be in relation to the tarot cards that we have on the table, but they will be specific to Mercury retrograde and the time period they're in. So let's see. Okay, so we have a definitely yes. If anybody was asking a question or had a question in mind about what Mercury retrograde might hold or something that you've been experiencing thus far, the answer is definitely yes. So believe in yourself. See yourself doing well, and you will. Oh, I like that. And talk about your feelings. Tell a friend how you feel. Yeah, so communicating our emotions can help, first of all, for us to be able to interpret them appropriately, and then to share with others what our needs are, what our boundaries are, how we're feeling, what we're experiencing. And sometimes that can have nothing to do with the truth of a situation, but it's our truth, and therefore it needs to be understood, and it needs to be recognized by ourselves, and then by extension by other people. So let's see what else we can get from this. I think this is the Whispers of Nature deck, but I don't know. I've lost the box ages ago. So we'll just see what comes up for this. So we have Adventure and Let Love Be Your Beacon. So with the Adventure card, it's interesting because we have a couple of cards here that indicate movement, like the Knight of Cups and the Six of Swords. And then we have other cards that indicate a lack of movement, like the Hanged Man in reverse and the Two of Swords. Those are pretty stable cards, not necessarily a lot of movement there or adventure. So we've got some, again, conflict. There's two opposing energies that are kind of pitting themselves against one another. The Adventure card can indicate an internal adventure, especially with that moon here. This can be adventuring into the subconscious mind, into the emotional realm, and identifying some of these things so that you can move forward, especially once retrograde ends and we're moving forward again with both Mercury and Mars. There may be more of an opportunity then to travel physically, as well as taking what you've learned in this retrograde phase and being able to apply that to create new adventures and experiences for yourself. Let love be your beacon. I think that's pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory. Love can be a really beautiful guiding force when we listen to it and when we tune into that. The Knight of Cups can speak of that as well. It's connecting with the messages of the heart. And I love how she's got this little heart lamp there. And there's bunnies and there's moths. So there's an opportunity here to be able to connect with nature, which is love. And you are nature, you're part of nature, and therefore you are made of love as well. When we tune into this love, we can then communicate more authentically and express ourselves in a way that is more grounded, more stable, more secure, and hopefully more compassionate as well. So let me get some clarifiers on these two oracle cards. Adventure. What kind of an adventure will this be? Okay, so the Chariot could be a road trip of some kind. It could be travel, as the Chariot can indicate that. That being said, a little disclaimer that I'm sure most of you know, travel ideas are not always the best during Mercury retrograde. It doesn't mean that you have to cancel something that's already been booked, or that you can't travel or go on adventures. It's just that there may be some delays, there may be some changes of plans, there may be things that don't work out necessarily how you expected them to. So it may require a little bit more planning before you do this. Maybe it's better to schedule things for after the retrograde ends, November 3rd and onwards. 7 is the Chariot, and the Chariot is often misinterpreted as a card of action and movement, but 7 numerologically speaks of rest and pulling back, inaction, which is what that Hanged Man might be saying as well. So although there is some conflicting energy here of adventure, no adventure, travel, no travel, I think that it's a good idea to just kind of take a step back and plan things. Planning is probably the best option right now, and if you can do some learning while you're doing that, that would be great. Working with other people is probably a good idea, as well as focusing on yourself. So let's get a clarifier on Let Love Be Your Beacon. Wow, that really flew out of there. The Magician. So this is a really great new beginning. It's an opportunity to start fresh. It's connecting with all 4 elements and be able to use those to manifest something new. The Magician is an interesting card because it's uniting heaven and earth. It's really being the medium between those two. And what I'm seeing is that with the heart chakra itself is the bridge between the lower and the higher planes of emotional experience as well as reality itself. So when we look at the 7 main chakras of the physical body, we have the 3 lower chakras, the root chakra, solar plexus, and sacral. And then there's the upper chakras, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And right in the middle, which is the bridge that really connects those 2 realms together, is the heart. So it is that medium between upper and lower and higher frequencies, higher experiences, higher expressions of emotions, thoughts, and then the physical experiences of them within the body, within the current 3rd dimensional reality we're existing in. So the magician understands that connection, and the magician can use that to be able to create what he wants through his intention, through his focus, through what he's putting his effort and his energy into, which is very much that 8 of Pentacles energy. So whatever you're focusing on really intently, you're going to create more of. And whatever you're learning will benefit you going forward through this cycle and beyond. Okay, any last energy that we benefit from knowing for the collective Mercury energy of the retrograde? Strength. Beautiful. Yeah, so we're being encouraged to have strength through this process, through these retrograde periods where we're being asked to dig up old stuff and reassess it, where we're being called to take a pause and have the patience and the fortitude and the trust to be able to persevere through that time, as well as benefit from the opportunity to be able to take a little bit more time to assess the situation, to make a decision, to discern between what's true and what's not for us based on what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and how we're interacting with other people around us. All right, so I'm wishing you all of the strength here from this beautiful strength card, you guys, for the rest of this retrograde period. I will be doing a new moon energy update reading as well, so if you guys are interested in that, that'll be coming out later this week. Thank you so much for being here and for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it, and I love you guys so much. If you're interested in booking a personal reading with me or a Reiki session, all of the information will be in the description box below this video. Thanks so much, guys. I love you. Bye.